All right, man. Whew, that was some good White Sox talk. It's always
gone for like 6 more hours.
I know, we really could, because I got so much on my mind, but we got to cut it short this time. I'm sure you'll be on again. We'll talk some White Sox soon.
Great talk.
We got to move on, though, because we got some pressing Bulls stuff, and we got Drew Edstrom on in this show, and I'm very excited about it because he kicks ass at what he does, so that boy Drew. Let's talk about this Bulls situation.
Bad.
My last podcast, I touched on it a little bit about Joakim Noah and how I was frustrated, and that Joakim Noah I thought had value to this team, especially with the position that they're in.
He adds value mostly with his energy, personality-wise.
But at the same time, you have no more Pau Gasol. And they have...
Which isn't the worst thing, because he played zero defense.
That's fine. I don't want him.
Oh.
No, let him walk.
I thought you loved Pau Gasol.
No.
Really?
Well, I would like him on a competitive team, which they could have been like this year, but obviously they were like farts in baby diapers. But
he looks good if you play him 20 minutes and not
he's
30.
He's going to walk, and if they re-sign him, I'm just not going to be a Bulls fan anymore.
If you re-sign him, play him less.
No.
He looks like he'd be a nice bench player.
It's such an awful roster move.
He'd be a nice bench player.
Well, you know what hurts them? Losing Joakim Noah, because now they have Cristiano Felicio as your only center.
No, that's not going to cut it.
So they got to do something, and we talked to Drew. He's going to mention some names. But, man, this Bulls team's really, really pissing me off.
Besides the front office situation being horrible and awful, I don't know. Get a little bit of optimism. I don't know. Maybe Derrick Rose kind of want to ball it up for the contract year.
What kind of optimism? Are you talking like championship optimism?
Maybe like a 4 or 5 seed.
Well, they were freaking good enough to do that this year.
They were on the pace. I thought they were going to win 50 games this year.
They definitely need something to change the philosophy in that freaking locker room, because right now, Fred Hoiberg, I don't know what, like, transition year for him in his first year, it was just a train wreck. And Taj Gibson's on his last year of the deal that he's currently on. Derrick Rose has one more year. You signed Butler. Do you want to trade him? I doubt it. I wouldn't.
Probably won't happen.
I wouldn't. And, we got to go from there. But, all right, we're going to introduce Drew, and I hope you guys enjoy it because he's awesome. All right, I'd like to take this time now to introduce my Bulls guest for the show, Drew Edstrom from Chicago Now. He's a Bulls blogger from Bulls Block. Drew, thank you for jumping out behind the pen with me.
Mike, thanks so much, man. Thanks for having me.
Oh, absolutely. Anytime. All right, so we got to jump right into it. We're also alongside Luc Behannesy here. He's my co-host for the show, and we're gonna just piggyback off each other with some questions. And I got to start with the pressing Noah news, because that kind of took us by storm, right? Because he's been the face of the Bulls since the start, and now there's a source saying he's not trusted with this front office. What do you think? What do you think about this whole epidemic that went down?
Well, obviously, when you think of the heart and soul of this Bulls team over the past several years, you think of Joakim Noah, and you just think of the energy that he provides and the locker room presence and the leadership. But still, we still don't know what really goes behind closed doors, if you get what I'm saying. So this isn't like a super confirmed source, but I do get the feeling that he is going to leave town. And whenever there's a change in leadership, it's very hard to transition, and the transition with Hoiberg, head coach, after Tibbs was gone, I think that was really tough on Noah. And obviously, they're going to miss his leadership. But I just think it's time, man. I just think it's time to kind of move forward and kind of move on from this core. If you watch the Bulls last season, you could tell that they just had no sense of identity, no defense identity at all, and they just were looking out of sorts. And so if Noah does leave, there's some free agents you can go and get, but they're kind of handcuffed right now, the Bulls, because they don't have a ton of cap space until next summer when Derrick Rose's contract comes off the books. So you're missing a big leader if Noah does leave, but you can kind of find those placeholder guys, those guys that you can sign to probably a 2-year deal, hopefully, for cheap. You're thinking of guys like Mahimi, possibly a Roy Hibbert, or even a Mozgov. Looking at some of those guys. The pool for centers, it's not that deep of a free agent class, besides Hassan Whiteside and guys that are just going to be way out of your price range. So they're probably going to look to go somewhere cheap. But losing Noah is going to be a tough pill to swallow at first for a lot of Bulls fans,
Noah seems he could be kind of through like a productive player wise, but the thing that Noah really brings to the table is a recognizable player that the fans love, and who can they really replace him with that could take his spot realistically? Is a guy like Maurice Spates possible?
Yeah, he is possible. I was also thinking of Spates, but we'll see if Golden State can re-sign him, because they also need to re-sign Livingston as well, and that's a contract they need to take care of. And Noah could actually be a fit in Golden State. It's interesting that you mentioned Spates, because Golden State needs rim protector who can pass the ball, and Noah can do that.
So, yeah, I'm sorry to cut you off, Drew. I just wanted to piggyback off that. So, what do you think the Bulls can do with their current situation with the cap and whatnot? Does that make certain players expendable? Maybe like something crazy like Butler or Derrick Rose or something like that? And would maybe Jahlil Okafor maybe a possible option out there? Or what do you think the Bulls can do with their current roster constraint?
Yeah, that's been kind of the topic of conversation past couple of days here out of Philadelphia with Okafor and Noel apparently on the block, and the Sixers are looking to trade both of them or one of them. And the thing is, I don't really see an Okafor trade happening because it would cost Jimmy Butler. I'm in the keep Jimmy Butler camp because he is a top 3 shooting guard in the league. He does play both sides of the ball, and he's your best player. And I think, like I said before, it's a time of transition here. Even though I don't think this core can win a championship, it's still a time of transition. And I think you got to give Hoiberg at least one more season to kind of like put the right players in place. In regards to players that are expendable, I think everyone except for Jimmy. Obviously, they've been looking to get rid of Derek's contract for some time, but it's just not a realistic possibility just because no one wants to take a chance on a rental of Derrick Rose for one season because you don't know if he's healthy. Also, there's guys like Nico and Taj who are good, valuable pieces, but I'm not sure they're championship pieces for certain teams. But I'd say everyone should be on the table at this point because they should try to move forward because this core, like I said many times so far, it's done, I think. I think it's time to kind of blow it up and try to build around Jimmy.
Well, Drew, if they do manage to somehow free up enough cap space to try and maybe go after one of the bigger names out there, low-key big names like maybe a Ryan Anderson, someone like that, even possibly L. Jefferson or Al Horford, if they could somehow finesse certain things to get that money up. But with the recent ripping of Noah and Gar Forman in this front office reputation, does that really hurt the attraction of the Bulls like very, very severely?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, word gets around the league, guys. Like, players are talking here. They know the dysfunction is happening, and they know that there is a disconnect between the players and the front office, and there's no trust. The front office's image is not in a good place in any means, and I doubt anyone will take a discount at all to join this team. It seems like the Bulls and the Kings right now are at the top of the dysfunction chain, so to speak. We just constantly keep on hearing news about how dysfunctional the front office is, and it's just a straight dumpster fire, in my opinion.
So does that affect even the reputation of Hoiberg and his assistants, along with the players? And it just seems like they're not gelling. I mean, just from a naked eye, as I'm watching this Bulls team last year, they would get back to the huddle, and the coaches would do their thing, and then the players would just sit on the bench and just not do anything. They would just sit there in silence, honestly. It seemed like nothing was in motion last season. Now, I don't know how significant this might be, but I know the Bulls have to replace a couple assistants this year. Do you think this coaching staff can help fix the problem?
Well, I always like to give a new coach a couple years to get acclimated and to get the right players in his system. Pau Gasol was not going to run Fred Hoiberg's system. It just wasn't going to happen. And Fred Hoiberg is a product of Gar Forman. Those two are together. They're a package deal. That has happened all year. Like I said, no sense of identity all season long. And the thing about coaches is the number one thing you need to be able to do as a coach is manage personalities. You can have the best game plan in the world, the best system. If you can't manage personalities and the egos on the team, you will not be a successful head coach.
Absolutely, and that's the biggest difference that Hoiberg had to adjust to in the NBA coming from a college team. It's a different ball game. Guys have these egos compared to in college, because in college really you're playing to make the NBA. Once you're in the NBA, where else can you go? You're just sitting here making some money now. So, I mean, I totally agree with you. I think it's up to Hoiberg now to adjust his philosophy and try and, without Noah assumingly that he's gone, it's going to be tough. But so I just want to transition here into the draft, because I know you're doing some research on it, and it's a big topic. Bulls got the 14th pick this year, if I'm not mistaken. Where do you want the Bulls to go this draft? Do you want them to take a point guard or a big man or something like that? Do you want them to trade? What do you think?
I mean, they could try to trade up, and if I'm trading up for any player, I'm trading up for Chris Dunn. But I don't see that happening. I don't see the Bulls trading up, really, because you know how their front office works. They don't take a ton of risks. But I'm a big fan of taking the best player available and the best two-way player available. So I'm looking at guys at the point guard position. Obviously, you have Chris Dunn at the head of the pack. You have the Murrays and the Wade Baldwins of the world. I think Wade Baldwin is the second best guard in this draft out of Vanderbilt. I think he can run a pro offense. He plays both sides of the ball. He's very physical on defense, and he has a great body to be a good defensive point guard in the NBA. But like I said, best player available. And at the number 14 spot, you're not going to get a franchise-changing player, but you can get a good piece. Absolutely. So I think if I had to choose right now, a realistic option for the Bulls at 14, I'm taking Timothy Luwawu.
There you go.
The Frenchman. So what he can do is he's a slasher. He's very long. He can shoot the ball, and he can get up and down.
Okay.
Watch some of his highlights. He's just getting up and down the court very quickly, long strides.
Say that name again for me.
Timothy Luwawu.
Very nice. I love it. I think you nailed it too. Absolutely.
Yeah, I think I got it right. So I like him a lot. I like Baldwin at the guard spot. And I also like Domantas Sabonis.
There you go. Oh, yeah, another big name. There you go. Yeah, no, I'm absolutely highly on him too.
Yeah, I like his motor. He's good with his body. He doesn't waste movement, so he's very efficient in the post. I'm not sure how his offensive game will translate to the NBA, but you want those high motor guys, those energy guys. And I think he can be that for the Bulls.
So yeah, absolutely. Definitely good stuff there. What do you think of Demetrius Jackson and another name for you, Buddy Hield? What do you think?
Well, we all watch Buddy Hield in the tournament, so we know what kind of talent he has. Just a very smooth shooter from the outside, can do a lot of things. His defense is kind of suspect at this point. And in regards to Demetrius Jackson, I know the Bulls had him in for a workout, talked to him. They seem to really like him. But I just think you need a player who can, if you're going to draft a backup point guard, you need to draft a backup point guard who can run the offense. We've seen in the past couple of years players like filler backup point guards, like Aaron Brooks, John Lucas III, players who aren't necessarily going to run an offense. Demetrius Jackson is crazy athletic, and he does a lot of things well, but I would still kind of lean towards Wade Baldwin over Demetrius Jackson.
Okay, awesome. We got Drew Edstrom here from Chicago Now, Bulls blogger. Really great stuff for you on this Behind the Ped podcast. We really appreciate you coming on. As we end this interview, I just got to ask you, man, who do you got in the finals?
Ooh, I'm taking the Warriors in 7 with MVP honors going to Steph Curry.
Well, you're going out on a limb, I got to tell you.
Yeah, hot take there.
Well,
hot take.
Well, I don't blame you, because you know what? Golden State's, I thought they were done when they were down 3-1 OKC, but hey, OKC can't finish all year, and that kind of, you can't beat the champs that way.
I mean, we'll see what happens. Cleveland's on quite a run.
Oh, yes,
right now.
yes.
Playing at a very high level, and they have their whole team ready to go and healthy, so that's big.
And just for fun, who do you think is the better player, Steph Curry or LeBron James?
Oh my gosh, you're asking me to compare.
Putting you out on a limb right now. Just say it. It's fine. Just do it.
I'm going LeBron.
Gotta be LeBron. It's
Good
gotta
man.
be LeBron.
Good man.
Absolutely.
I mean, Steph Curry is the best shooter of all time.
Sure. And he could do different things, but LeBron's skill set, I'm telling you, he's like, if you want to mold a basketball player, you're going to get LeBron James.
I mean, he's a train.
Absolutely.
He's a train.
Absolutely. Drew Edstrom from Chicago Now Bulls blogger, thank you so much for joining Behind the Pen. We will definitely get you back on here at some point. I really appreciate your time. Thank you very much.
Mike, thanks, man. Thanks a lot, guys. Appreciate it.